Did you know that at its peak, Kingfisher Airlines was flying over 400 flights daily, but ended up with a staggering debt of over 9,000 crore rupees? A shocking fact to start with, isn't it? Now let's unravel how this transpired. Journey back in time with me to the early 2000s. Vijay Mallya, a man already wearing the hat of the chairman of United Spirits, took a leap into the aviation industry. Thus, Kingfisher Airlines was conceived. Mallya's vision was grand. His ambition was to redefine air travel by providing an unmatched flying experience, setting Kingfisher Airlines above its competitors. In 2005, Mallya's dream took flight with the launch of Kingfisher Airlines. It was an instant sensation, and the term "King of Good Times" becomes synonymous with Mallya. The airline's initial success was phenomenal, quickly ascending to become one of India's top airlines. Yet Mallya's ambitions didn't halt there. Already owning United Spirits, one of the world's largest spirits companies, he had his sights set on expanding his business empire further. He attempted to carve out a niche in the complex worlds of liquor and airline industries, aspiring to rule both sectors. However, the Indian government did not share Mallya's enthusiasm for expansion, placing various restrictions that stunted his growth in these industries. Despite these roadblocks, Mallya persevered. He procured loans from numerous banks to fuel his ventures, a debt that would later lead to his downfall. Around this time, Kingfisher Airlines broadened its horizons, adding international routes to its existing domestic ones. This audacious move epitomized Mallya's ambitious, but behind this facade of success and luxury, the airline was wrestling with high operational costs, the global recession of 2008, and relentless competition in the airline industry. These issues, however, were cleverly concealed, with the airline continuing to project an image of prosperity and opulence. Contrary to its initial triumph, the future of Kingfisher Airlines was not as glittering as it appeared. An airline that once soared high found itself hitting turbulence. Let's rewind to 2008. The world was in the throes of a financial crisis. Economies were spiraling, markets crashing, and businesses folding. Among those caught in this global recession was Kingfisher Airlines. The economic downturn was a severe blow to the airline industry. Travel became a luxury people couldn't afford, and airlines were left gasping for breath. Kingfisher Airlines was no exception. The airline, which had ambitions of dominating the skies, began to feel the pinch. Passenger numbers dwindled, revenues fell, and the company found itself sinking into a financial quagmire. But the recession was just the start of Kingfisher's problems. The airline industry is a tough one, known for its razor-thin margins and high operational costs. Fuel, maintenance, ground handling, catering, crew costs, airport charges, all these expenses began to pile up for Kingfisher. The company was bleeding money, and the recession only exacerbated the situation. To make matters worse, Kingfisher was up against stiff competition. The Indian skies were crowded with airlines, each vying for a slice of the market. Kingfisher found itself in a dog-eat-dog world, where only the fittest survive. The airline was hemmed in on all sides, by the recession, the high costs, and the fierce competition. All these factors combined to form a perfect storm. Kingfisher, once the darling of the skies, found itself in a tailspin. The company was losing altitude fast, and there seemed to be no way out. The dreams of dominating the skies were quickly turning into a nightmare. The recession, coupled with high operational costs and competition, began to take its toll on Kingfisher Airlines. Kingfisher Airlines, once a symbol of luxury, was now sinking. The airlines, once heralded as the epitome of opulence in Indian skies, was drowning in a sea of debt. The man steering the ship, Vijay Mallya, was racking up loans from banks to keep his aviation dream afloat. But as the debts piled up, his ability to repay them dwindled. Mallya's ambition for his airline was larger than life. He dreamed of a world-class airline that would redefine air travel in India. But the reality was far from this vision. The airline was bleeding money, and Mallya's other businesses couldn't plug the hole. He sought refuge in bank loans, but this was a temporary fix to a long-term problem. The year 2012 marked the end of Kingfisher's flight in the Indian skies. The financial turmoil had reached a head, and the airlines could no longer sustain itself. The Indian aviation regulator suspended Kingfisher's license, and the luxury airline came to a grinding halt. The closure of Kingfisher Airlines was a shock to the Indian aviation industry. The airline that once boasted of red carpets and personal valets was now grounded indefinitely. The employees were left in the lurch, and the banks were left with unpaid loans running into thousands of crores. The fall of Kingfisher Airlines was a wake-up call for the Indian banking system. It highlighted the risks of lending to ambitious entrepreneurs without stringent checks. But more importantly, it marked the end of Mallya's unchecked reign in the Indian business landscape. Kingfisher Airlines was grounded, and with it, Mallya's dreams of an airline empire. The luxurious airline had come crashing down, leaving behind a trail of unpaid debts and shattered dreams. With Kingfisher Airlines grounded, Mallya found himself in a sea of debt. Now this was no petty sum we're talking about. Mallya's financial obligations had ballooned to an astronomical 9,000 crore rupees, owed to a consortium of 17 Indian banks. It was an obligation he couldn't meet, and the walls were closing in. Accusations began to fly. The words fraud and money laundering were whispered, then spoken, then shouted. Mallya, once a titan of industry, was now being painted as a criminal. The man who had once soared with the eagles was now being hunted down like a common crook. In a move that shocked the nation, Mallya was forced to step down from his lofty perch as the chairman of United Breweries Holdings Limited. The king had been dethroned and his kingdom was in ruins. But this was not to be the end of Mallya's story. Like a scene from a thriller, he slipped through the fingers of the authorities, fleeing to the United Kingdom. While in the UK, Mallya's life was far from the luxurious lifestyle he once enjoyed. He lived under the constant threat of extradition, his every move watched by the authorities. Yet, even in these dire circumstances, he made an attempt to settle his debts, offering to pay a staggering sum of 13,960 crore rupees. But the banks refused, unwilling to accept anything less than full repayment. Mallya, once a high-flying businessman, was now a fugitive on the run. His dreams of ruling the skies with Kingfisher Airlines were shattered, his empire in ruins. The aftermath of his downfall served as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked ambition and financial mismanagement. Vijay Mallya, once the king of good times, is now facing an extradition trial in the UK. The man who once symbolized wealth and extravagance in India is now emblematic of a different kind of tale, one marked by debts, legal battles, and a fight for justice. Once the chairman of United Spirits, the company that owns the well-known brand Kingfisher, Mallya is now accused of fraud and money laundering. He finds himself in a financial quagmire, owing a staggering 9,000 crore rupees to 17 Indian banks, a debt the magnitude of which is hard to fathom. Kingfisher Airlines, once a proud possession of Mallya, ceased its operations back in 2012, leaving a trail of unpaid salaries and unfulfilled dreams. Mallya's attempt to expand his liquor and airline business was met with restrictions from the Indian government. He took out loans from banks to fuel his ambitions, but when it came to repayment, he faltered. Mallya was eventually forced to resign as chairman of United Breweries Holdings Limited and made a hasty exit to the United Kingdom. But the story didn't end there. The banks, determined to recover their money, have managed to claw back 3,600 crore rupees. However, a colossal 11,000 crore rupees still remains unpaid. In an effort to settle the matter, Mallya has made an offer of paying back 13,960 crore rupees for the loan amount. But the banks, perhaps skeptical of his intentions or doubtful of his ability to pay, have turned down the offer. As we find ourselves in the present, the situation remains unresolved. Mallya continues to face an extradition trial in the UK, while the banks continue their pursuit of the unpaid dues. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The story of Vijay Mallya and Kingfisher Airlines is far from over. As we await the final verdict, the tale of Kingfisher Airlines serves as a stark reminder of the risks of unchecked ambition and financial mismanagement.